All right, I'll be the first to admit, maybe we've been on this path and things are just too serious. Maybe we need to lighten up a little bit. I know, I've been demanding of your time. I've shown you plenty of different options, even if you seem to think they're all serious commitments. And yeah, maybe a lot of this stuff does demand your personal space and quite a bit of devotion. You're looking for something more casual. I get it. I really do. A 25-page rulebook with the font size at 8 and 800 cards and tokens and chits and other components just isn't up your alley. What do you mean that's not what you're talking about? Welcome home, brave heroes. I'm Ash, this is AshQuest, and this is The Key to the Kingdom, a game for 2 to 6 players aged 8 to adult, published in 1990 by Waddington's, Britain's #1 in games. That was a very British accent that I did there. This is a game in which you conquer the monsters and the whirlpool to free the treasure of the kingdom. Your task: enter the kingdom, discover the key and one piece of treasure, and make your way safely out of the kingdom. Sounds simple? On your journey, you will encounter many hazards. Do you risk waking the sleeping giant, or do you try and cross the snake pit? So there's quotations around everything here. Look out for the Demon King, as he can imprison you in one of his 6 dungeons. Within minutes, you could enter the magic whirlpool and be transported into another world full of sea monsters, living forests, and magic mists. To gain the treasure, you may have to use your food and other equipment cards to fight the skull-eating Cyclops at the entrance to the Temple of Martyrs. I can't remember if that Chris Farley skit came later. Yeah, Roger, we call him the skull-eating Cyclops. Well, Waffle House on 5th and South, you mean the Temple of Martyrs? But beware! Fail and you go straight to the dungeon. Your escape route will be fraught with danger, and don't forget the other adventurers, as they will be trying to steal the key from you to make their own getaway. So this has a giant fantasy game board that we're going to be looking at shortly here. What is this? Is this chocolate? I've never seen that in my life. I thought it was like an illustration of a rope. Unique transforming game board with 6 ever-changing play areas. Barcode and part number for those who need it. Made and printed in Great Britain, let's go. A note about the art. Who did this? This looks great in pretty much every way. This is basically epic in every way. We've got our dragon, our knight, our evil wizard. We've even got like a demon. We've got what appears to be maybe an ogre. We've got a bit of undead. And then we've even got this silly sort of gnome character. Is that the cantankerous gnome? Nothing under the lid. The smell of nostalgia hits you. Can you smell it? There aren't really a lot of components with this game. We have our huge board, which is actually 2 separate boards with a jigsaw edge that will link them up. Both of these boards are double-sided and they fold out. And this is, it says Key to the Kingdom on one side, but the other 3 panels here are full color, fully playable board stock. I think the other one is the same way, yes. And although this is way more traditionally of a board game than so many other board games that are really more like dungeon crawlers or very simplified role-playing games and the like, this is one of the most fascinating and super immersive and fantastical boards. And the game just has so many stop and do this fantastical thing styled rules. We'll get a better look at that shortly. It's time to look at the miniatures. Now, they're all the same, but the sculpt is really nice. We have this adventurer, this sort of jack of all trades, in 6 very agreeable colors. I mean, I'd be happy to choose any of these. They're all nice and muted. They're very easy on the eyes. The sculpts are super nice. He's got a helmet, but he's also got his shield, his sword, and his lantern. He's fully armored and he is ready for travel. The game also comes with the, I can only assume, evil wizard that is featured on the box. The sculpting in his face is immaculate. He is at once regal and commanding. Just look at that finely detailed sculpt. This is rivaling Citadel, all of these. This is one of the most interesting board trays I've ever seen. We have 2 very clearly spaced apart cavities for cards, card wells, and we have another well in which are our pouches, our single die. Our manual doesn't fit in this well. There is really just so much space. It holds everything, but is like senselessly divvied up. The grooves in the sides do not offer us enough space to place our envelopes. They do kind of offer space for the cards, but I'm very puzzled as to why anything is shaped this way. Can you provide any clarity or closure to this point. Why are there 2 card wells? The game comes with enough to fill one of them. There's even some space left over. Pretty sure my game is complete too. It's not a complaint, it's just an observation. It's genuine curiosity. I would much rather have too much space than not enough, although I will complain if there's a lot of stuff in the box and there's a lot of cavity left over. Well, all my bridge pieces fell out as soon as I did that. There is a bridge, and we have a couple of plastic parts that actually go into the board that I forgot about. This is a rickety set of bridge sections that will all kind of link up going through the holes here on the Evil Tower bridge section of this board. With our board fully assembled and completely unfolded, it's larger than life. It will not fit on my table or in the view space of my camera. However, it will start like this, folded up, and all of our adventurers will start on the Start Welcome to the Kingdom space. Every turn, an adventurer will roll the d8. You will notice that there are symbols on some of the spaces. The symbol for the Demon Lord. This is both an icon of the Demon Lord's helmet, the silhouette of his home, and the stamp that he uses to sign all of his tax documents. You think Demon Lords can escape taxes? Whatever number you roll, the Demon Lord is going to travel to the Demon Lord space with that number before you do anything. So we'll take our Demon Lord mini and we'll place him on the Demon Lord 3 space. Oh, and don't worry, if you've gathered at this point that you've got to travel to spaces to go through the whirlpools and transform the board, that's not going to change the fact that there are still Demon Lord spaces on the changed realm. They're just moved around now. We still have a Demon Lord 3 space off camera, actually. After you've done that, your adventurer may move that number of spaces in any direction. All of the cards look the exact same on the back, so you've got a little bit of deck searching to do if you don't keep them separate during setup. Kind of a pain. I don't know why they did this. But we've got 4 completely different decks right here. We've got the Treasures deck. There are 6 treasures. The Ring of Power, the Key to the Kingdom. That's it. That's the titular Key to the Kingdom. The Chalice, the Rune Sword, the Crown of Glory, and the Cobra. You may not leave the kingdom until you have been round the snake pit to throw the Cobra away. You gotta throw that snake in the snake trash. Yes, it's not really a treasure. It's more of a trap card. If you get it, you're unlucky, and you've got a little bit more work to do before you can win the game. So you're looking for the key to the kingdom and one other treasure in order to win. And in the short version of this game, if you get both of those treasures and roll an 8 on the d8, you are magically transported to the beginning and you win the game. That keeps you from having to backtrack all the way to the beginning, but it also removes the other player's abilities to try to ambush you on your way back. They could still do that to you. You can still steal treasures from each other and whatnot during normal play up to that point. Here we have the Deep Magic cards, and they all say the same thing. Deep Magic card from the Ring of Stones must be returned after use. Next up, we've got the Monsters deck. Every single one of these has a thematic and very defined and different challenge. Here's what happens if you win, here's what happens if you lose. For example, the Slime Toad. You must be armed with a net. If not, throw and move away. Give your net to the Slime Toad and he will leave you alone, or try to throw a 1, 5 throws allowed. If you fail, lose your net and one other equipment card. Throw and move away. That's a whole lot of mechanics right here on a single card, but it's all very direct. It's all immersive. The thematic element is right there. It's not simply throwing a bunch of status symbols at you with numbers and direction lines, so it keeps your head in the fantasy game. I appreciate that, I really like it. Finally, we've got this items deck. We've got the net, the rope, the food, the grappling hook, the fire, the sword, the axe, the shield, and we have enough to give all of the players one of those things. Okay, so there aren't just treasure cards, there are treasure card holders, and each holder is named for a different location. The Demon Castle, the Evil Tower, the Temple of Martyrs, the Island Fortress, the Ice Palace, and the Banshee Towers. You'll shuffle your treasure cards face down so you don't know which one is going into which treasure card holder. You will put a card into each treasure card holder, and then you will set those aside, and the person who visits and addresses whatever challenge needs happen at each location will be able to take the card out. Will you get a Cobra? Will you get the key to the kingdom? Will you get a different treasure? Who knows? You'll have to find that out the hard way. I should say the fun way. Each player will start out with one of the 8 equipment cards, and you'll keep these by you face up during the game. Each player will choose an adventurer, putting them in the gray, stony start area. The Demon King will actually start there too. I forgot about that. He's just hanging out with the adventurers. He's like, I'll race ya. Nobody can beat me. I can teleport. I have instant transmission. Now is also the time to decide whether or not the key is to have magical powers of its own. Normally, its powers are dormant, and you will have to fight your way out of the kingdom with it through all the perils that, again, lie in your path. But if you want to play the shorter game, then the key will take on a magical power, thus ending the game on a roll of an 8 if you're trying to play the short version. When you are sent to a dungeon, which happens when an adventurer lands on another adventurer, or on an adjacent space, surprise, you must escape by throwing a 1 or an 8 on your next 3 turns, 1 throw per turn. You will continue to reposition the teleporting Demon King at the beginning of your turn as an adventurer. If you succeed, you will move into the key location. If you fail, you'll give up one of your equipment cards and then move into the key location. Once you are in the key location, move out on your next turn by a normal dice throw, counting a black dagger as the first space. You may not take the treasure belonging to that location. These are the black daggers to which the rules refer, and these are the key locations: the Ice Palace, the Banshee Towers, visible here on the first starting boards or realms, with the other key locations visible as the game goes on. Now, the astute of you will no doubt have noticed that we have these spaces next to the whirlpools, and yes, indeed, you will travel through the whirlpools. There are associated rules with that. The board will open up, and you will have revealed a completely new fantastical area for your players to travel in. They do still link up with the adjacent board, no matter if that board is open or not. Your realm will still connect. And just to illustrate this even further, we're going to go through the whirlpool on the other side. Things keep falling apart, just bear with me. Here's our 3 paths, still linked up. This is really one of the coolest gimmicks of this game, and it totally makes sense. It's not just there for fun, but it's also very practical, and the visual of opening up the board and having this completely new space is something that I just have not seen replicated in any other game. If you have seen something like this, please let me know in the comments below, because I can definitely see why this in particular would be very nostalgic to so many of its players, and in particular a lot of the viewers of this channel, because it's just not something you see in contemporary games, and it's not something I've seen in a lot of old games either. The flow and structure of this game is very, very board game. It is as fantasy immersive and as imbued with the fantastical elements and magic and kingdom and all of that as it can be. It's perfectly aligned with everything else I look at here and do and enjoy. But it is way more of a board game, this side of Talisman, than, say, Hero Quest or Under the Shadow of the Dragon. Very much presented like one, the rules play like one. There's nothing wrong with that. It's nice to have that simplicity, and it's even cooler that it can be that simple and still have this very immersive fantasy theme. Can you imagine if there was like a space version of this? That would be so cool. Every single space is this new, unique, illustrated spot, and you can easily roleplay just about any situation here. Like when your adventurer lands against another adventurer so you can send them to the dungeon because you want to have the advantage, or you at least want them to have the disadvantage. This is easily roleplayed that your adventurer has pushed the other adventurer into the waters, or startled them perhaps. By the way, if it wasn't obvious, and I don't think that it was, our dungeons are adjacent to the key locations, so if you are sent to the dungeon, then that's where you're going to go if you're going to go to the Evil Tower. Or if you're going to the Island Fortress, you'll go to this dungeon. It's 1 key location and 1 dungeon per realm. I see nothing wrong with that. It's formulaic. It really gives you an idea of kind of what to expect. We'll open up our last board side to reveal the last 2 realms, because I want to see the dungeon at the Temple of Martyrs. It really does look like a Waffle House. Bloody knife, yep. And there's the Demon Castle and its dungeon. We've also got the Ring of Stones. We have illustration just all over the place. It's teeming with pictures. The Bone Pit, with just a spattering, a sample of skulls from Talisman's 3rd edition board. Not all is evil and danger in the kingdom, for you will also find magic at certain enchanted places to help you on your way. The magic whirlpools are for transporting adventurers to other parts of the kingdom. There are 2 routes into each whirlpool. Yes, that's true. 1, 2, 1, 2, 1, 2, 3. Wait a minute. What's with the magic rainbow? I have, again, dropped my plastic bridge pieces. I just don't learn. The other 2 are on my floor now. Nope, there's 1. It's even worse that there's only 1 on the floor now. It's every video. I don't do it behind the scenes or bloopers, but you should know that every single video, I drop something and it likes to bounce perfectly onto the floor. Fall on my foot, ricochet, The black daggers mark the key location's alternative entrances and exits. Follow the track across the black daggers or skirt around the outside if you do not wish to enter. You may not jump across a key location if you do wish to enter. Stop when you reach a dagger, even if you have not finished your dice count. Immediately pick up a monster card and follow the instructions on it. Discard it when you have finished. Now, I read one monster card, but I'd like to read you a few more, give you an idea of some of the challenges you will be facing. The Venomous Vampire. You must be armed with a net. If not, throw and move away. Get 8 or more in 2 throws of the dice to defeat it. If you fail, lose 1 equipment card, throw and move away. And the Hellhound. Give the Hellhound your food and he will leave you in peace, or throw an 8, 4 throws allowed. If you fail, lose 1 equipment card and 1 treasure card, throw and move away. Now, this is the vast majority of these monsters. You have to be armed with 1 or more items. It's an either-or situation most of the time. If you are not, you will simply throw the die and move away. You come up to this treacherous troll and you're like, I got the wrong address. I'll move away now. If you are armed with the items, you will throw the dice. And you have to get a target number, and you have so many tries to get that target number. If you win, you get the treasure. If you lose, this will tell you what you will lose, and you will still have to move away from the space. The Odious Orc. Is the Cantankerous Gnome in here? Let's look for him together. We're going to go through and look at all of the monster cards for your pleasure. The Treacherous Troll, the Evil Knight, the Flying Werewolf. That is so awesome. That's so badass. The Corpse Master. Man, that's cool. The Hellhound, the Dark Archer, the Mad Monk, the Venomous Vampire, the Skull-Eating Cyclops, that's the quotation guy, the Gargantuan Cockroach. Here I was thinking they were all alliterative. Up to this point they have been. The Dragon King, the Alien Stalker. I was just talking about the sci-fi version. I guess we can incorporate sci-fi elements regardless. The Dreaded Druid, my goodness, not the Sickle. The Swamp Lizard, the Putrid Poltergeist, the Deadly Fire Drake, the Mutant Scorpion, the Giant Firebrand. There he is. It's the Cantankerous Gnome. It's the Cantankerous Gnome. This one's a bit of a different challenge. If you have the Sword and Shield, every other player throws the dice and the scores are added together. Throw the dice the same number of times and beat the score. If you fail, lose your shield, throw, and move away. The Demonic Dwarf, the Slime Toad, the Voodoo Spectre, the Terrible Tarantula, the Insectoid Witch, wow, the Odious Orc, the Minotaur Monster, the Creeping Cockatrice, the Battle Ogre, the Goblin. That is a Robert Aspirin goblin if I have ever seen one, 1000%. And the Pit Genie. Yes, the Pit Genie. So with all of these opportunities to lose your items, how do you get them back? Well, one of the ways to do this, and maybe the only way that I can find so far in the book, just with a cursory glance, is the Wizard of Plenty, who is at the end of the rainbow. If you can go over the rainbow and back 4 throws or fewer, and you're allowed to try this once per game, his powers will return all your lost equipment and also any treasure lost by yourself or other players that is still unclaimed. You may choose which lost treasure card holders to reclaim, but you may not look inside them before choosing. Before the wizard will return them, you must complete this task. There are other things you can do as well. Actually, there's not. That's what you gotta do. If you fail, go straight back to his cloud and he will return 1 piece of equipment of your choice. Then you have to leave. He'll give you your 1 equipment, I think at random. No, of your choice, I just read that. And then you have to leave over the rope bridge. Now the white daggers do have a meaning. Doubtless you will notice that there are many locations with signs giving you a name, like the Cyclops, the Magic Rainbow, the Evil Tower Bridge, the Broken Bridge, the Spider's Web, the Wild Boar, Beware the Swamp, the Snake Pit, Do Not Wake the Sleeping Giant. All of these have corresponding sections in the rulebook, which means you are going to be referencing the rulebook quite a bit as you land on these different spaces, unless you happen to do it enough that you memorize all of these sections, which, that's going to be tough. At the Demon Castle Moat, for example, stop at the dagger, immediately throw the dice, cross to the other side on a throw of 2 to 8. Your turn ends. On a 1, you fall into the splash space in the moat. On your next turn, throw 2 to 8 again and climb out to the opposite dagger. But if you throw another 1, you are caught by crocodiles. You don't die in this game. Instead, you'll move on to the blue arrow, immediately try to escape using one of the following methods, 1 attempt per turn. Lose your food by feeding it to the crocodiles. Use your sword, which you keep, to kill the crocodiles, but you must also throw an 8, 1 throw per turn. Throw a 1, but also lose a piece of treasure if you have any when you succeed. one throw per turn. The game is constantly working against you to take your treasures. Now, I didn't play this for long, but I did play one time with Shar, and we made it about 5 turns in before she said, I hate this game. So I would be willing to give it another shot, and hopefully the dice are a little bit more forgiving. I would say if you are having trouble and you wanted to homebrew a bit of a different experience, give yourself maybe 3 gold coins, represent these with tokens or whatever else you want to do. Every adventure will start with 3 gold coins, and add 1 more d8 to the game. Now, whenever you are instructed to roll the d8, you will actually roll 2d8, and you can use whichever number is more advantageous to you in that situation. You'll still roll just 1 to move and to place the Demon King. The gold coins are there to give to any of the obstacles that demand a treasure of your choice. So instead of giving up one of the treasures that you will need to actually complete tasks and win the game, give over a gold coin. When you visit the wizard and he returns all of your treasure to you, if you manage to get across the Rainbow Bridge as described in the book, he will also return your 3 gold coins to you, or up to the amount that you've lost. You can never have more than 3 gold coins. Those are my homebrew rules, just from reading through and from my own personal experience playing. That is how I would kind of treat the constant loss of treasure problem. Now, I've said that, but like I said, there may be other ways to get some of your treasure back. The deep magic cards you can acquire from the magical Ring of Stones in the realm of the Demon Castle. You can use it to stop the board folding outwards when another player jumps into the whirlpool, either in the realm of Banshee Towers or in that of the Ice Palace. I love that these realms have names for their key locations, by the way. This is the realm of the Ice Palace. This is the realm of the Banshee Towers. That is really, really cool. It cannot stop the board folding inwards. The adventurer in the whirlpool must now throw a 1 or an 8 to escape 1 throw per turn. If he is still there after 3 turns, he may rejoin the game on his next turn by moving away according to his dice count. Then you will return the deep magic card after use. Each adventurer may acquire only 1 per game. I would probably change that to let them acquire another one if they revisit the magical Ring of Stones, because why not? Each time you visit the Ring of Stones, you will automatically regain lost cards. There we go. That's the other way of getting treasure. On your next turn, its magic will return 3 cards to you, which you should choose amongst your own lost equipment cards and the treasure cards that have been lost by any players during the game. You may stay at the Ring of Stones for as many turns as you like, trying to throw a 1 or an 8 to acquire a deep magic card. Yeah, I actually really like that. That's good to know. I feel like I'm ready to give this game another try. Not that I thought it was bad at all, but because I have the confidence and clarity needed to actually sustain an immersive, continuous game. And that's all I have to say about it for today. So I hope that you enjoyed this little trip to the past. If you were a Key to the Kingdom enjoyer, I would love to know if you have played this game and what your experiences with it have been like. Are my homebrew suggestions too much? Would they make the game way too easy or flow way too differently, away from the spirit of the game by which you may know it? Let me know. Also, it occurs to me you could just make your own equipment cards, and you could make your own monsters that require you to give up or use or have in your possession these extra equipment cards. So in a way, you can homebrew your own stuff, but in the spirit of the game, I don't really see a reason to do that because we already have 8 equipment cards and many combinations of challenges from the monsters. If I was going to homebrew anything at all, I would probably put all of these cards in sleeves, which you will never hear me say about any other game, because I would like for them to have different backs. And that, Brave Heroes, is all for now. So thank you so much for your kind attention, and until the next exciting adventure, I bid you farewell and onward.